Hello. 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 Hi. Is anyone there? It's Alicia calling. I don't feel comfortable until you guys start talking to me in the chat. Hi, Kim. I saw somebody, as soon as I sat down, I saw somebody said, CSA is not a good abbreviation. And it's funny because I had a moment today where I thought the same thing. I assume you guys are talking about Creepshow, but I did not figure that out right away when I saw people talking about Creepshow in my Discord. And so I was like, CSA, what's going on? Hi. BAP means basically a podcast. Hey guys. As for emails, I'm not sure entirely what all I'm going to be able to read, but we'll see. Thankfully, this time I do have, looking stunning, thank you. I do have notes. Look, I'm not going to say this in the first 2 minutes, but so I'll get there. How are we feeling? Good. Thank you for asking. A little bit headachy. It's been storming a lot in Savannah, and I think I've told you guys I'm one of those dorks that gets like headaches from weather. Hey guys, I'm overwhelmed, I'll be honest about that. There's a lot going on right now, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's just a lot going on that has to do with people that I cover, obviously. Trisha and Gabbie, yes, I've talked about other creators, but like everybody else is off the map. And so there's a lot to cover, and I want to keep up with it. And it's been working out. It's been great. It's just, I'm going to need a big nap when this is all over. Already a donation. Oh my goodness. Okay. Show with no name. I'm going to read this real quick. Recent realization: isn't getting minors to do your dirty work and using their age to block criticism a form of child exploitation? If so, Gabbie and many others are guilty of it. Yeah, that's a really good point. You're just diving right into the conversation, which I assume you guys have already been talking, but today we're continuing our conversation from Tuesday, where, I'm sorry, I have like bell-bottom sleeves and I don't know what to do with them. Plus I'm short, so they're like a little long on me. Did my nails today. Let me get that sponsorship, Ahura, Vanity Table, hello. I'm so bad at staying on track. I go off on a lot of tangents. And I think just on principle, I will never tell you guys it's because of ADHD or anything other than just I get distracted. And I hope you guys love me and stick with me. You guys are smart enough. You're smart, sharp little whippersnappers, and you can keep up with me with my thoughts that are here and here and here and here. There was a donation prior to BAP starting. Okay. I'm going to try to remember every time I have to remember the instructions that Sajak gave me to find my supers. And let's see. And then I got to make sure that we're all good over on Discord, because if I see any, please nobody tag me in anything unless I am needed, or if it is something that, that is worth reading. One of my mods says, ask has made a good ask. It's a good thing to start with. Please, this is what she asked. I haven't even read it. I just trust this person. So she said, please make a reminder to keep the chat lighthearted and respectful. The discourse on Tuesday became super tense because everyone was talking about mental health, and it was kind of hard to moderate, which I hear. It's interesting because let's talk about Tuesday for a sec. And I'll go back to the supers. But Tuesday was wild because those videos were dropped on Monday, and then the whole Frenemies thing happened like Monday night or Tuesday morning, right? So I think everyone was just like super emotionally charged, and so I didn't have time for anything but reading my super chats. So that was insane. Like, thank you. Also, thank you so much for making all those donations. But that's really all we had time for. I had no idea what was going on in the chat, and I heard that it got a little contentious. And I don't think that's anybody's fault. Well, I mean, I didn't read anything. How can I play judge and jury about that? But my guess is that it's just about a lot of good people that are highly emotional. Because I'll even say this much. even just within, my nasal spray, I don't want to get up. Even within just our Patreon, there are times when it's high stress times like this, we start getting into conversations and we get really, we start to disagree somewhat, but it's just like more emotionally charged than usual, and every conversation is more emotionally charged, even if we are agreeing, and it's stressful for everyone. So just keep in mind that everybody who's keeping up with this stuff is really stressed out right now, and like maybe let's just keep the chat relevant to maybe whatever I'm saying in the given moment, instead of having any debates. I don't want debates in my live chat. This is supposed to be a good time. And not only that, some of you guys have asked me to start putting these BAPs, these BAPs on, I feel bad saying that. It's a disservice to Halle Berry because of the 90s movie BAPs, Black American Princesses. So I apologize to any Black American princesses out there. And if I need to change my podcast name one of these days, I'm happy to, if that's what it takes. Sidetracked. Yeah, so some of you guys have asked me to put these on streaming platforms for podcasts, and I think that's really, really cool. I don't think that they're high quality enough to make sense, but if people are going to listen to them, then great, then I'll do it. But then if that's the case too, then we got to make sure that that it's not going to make a whole lot of sense if there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the chat. Nick says, Leash, hope you're having an amazing day so far. Oh, and stay hydrated. #Watergate. Thank you. Yeah, so if you guys could please do that, that would be really awesome. Obviously, well, not obviously, you guys may not have been here. Some of you probably weren't. But on Tuesday, we talked about the bombshell videos, the phone call that Jessi Smiles released, in which she talked to Gabbie Hanna. Content warning up front, we are going to be talking about things like SA a good bit, a little bit of mention of wanting to unalive oneself, mental health stuff. I don't know exactly if there's anything else that needs a content warning. I'll try to remember if it comes up, but you guys know me. So if you are sensitive to triggers in these conversations, then maybe don't watch me. But that's not, sounds like a cop out on my part. Maybe it is, because I'm not great at these things. I was gonna say, like, every time I get dressed in one of these things, like I keep buying these like plunging dresses, and then I'm like, this is too much boob. I'm doing too much boob, and so like if that is bothering anybody or distracting to anyone, I apologize. Like, are there any of you out there? I'm sure that there's like half of you out there are like me, where you're like, I love plunging dresses, but I can't wear them. And then you see like people that can wear them a little more comfortably, and you're like, oh, so jealous. I want to wear dresses like that. And one of these days I was just like, then I'll let my boobs show. Like, whatever. I'm going to wear these dresses. And then of course I asked Jake, I'm like, is this too much boob? He's like, no. I'm like, never mind. I shouldn't have asked you. You're biased. Hey, you says, sending love from Denmark. Oh, since day one. Thank you. That's so sweet. And that you reminded me to go check out my supers. So let's see here. So yeah, just as a reminder, this is a public live event that is done podcast style, except I don't have headphones. And so it will be done conversation style as well, meaning that I will be taking comments from my chat, from the super chats especially, from my Patreon, as well as emails, depending on how much of that we can get to. So expect the conversation to be disjointed and for there to be tangents and things, and for me to say and if you don't like that, then I have regular channel with main content that you can watch where I cut that stuff out. There are a couple of donations before it started, so that's really nice. Like, you guys had no idea whether or not I would see those. Thank you. I see, I think it's, yeah, Anna Ware says #WaterGang. Gotta do it again. Gotta do it again. It's a rule. they said, and I just wanted to thank you for doing these videos. I've had so much anxiety from the drama. Oh, and to see how you won't accept treatment like this means so much. Much love. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm really not happy to hear about the anxiety. I know that a lot of people are feeling that way. I really like when I post videos or have these conversations, I'm really going into each one of these not having a clue as to whether or not people are going to like what I'm saying. And I have come, like, that was a fear, like something that caused me anxiety about a year ago. And I had got to the point where I'm like, look, girl, like, you're going to have to just speak your mind, just say whatever, like, you need to get off your chest. And if people don't like it, then, you know, if you have something you need to apologize for, then you'll apologize for it. I'm not too good to make an apology. I'm not too proud to make an apology. Or if it's just an unpopular opinion and people don't like it, then at least I'm being true to myself. And a lot of you guys still come around, and even if you disagree, surely you disagree with something that I've said over the past year. So I really appreciate you guys for that, and not just allowing me to be comfortable. And I didn't know whether or not my audience was going to approve of me putting out the video I put last night, but it was, I will say, super fucking cathartic. I loved it. And I do hope that, and that's kind of on the same note that Anna's saying here about not accepting certain kinds of treatment. And I think that it's really important. It's not something that I've been the best at in my life. Like, it is something that I've had to work on. I don't think I was like the best at confrontation growing up. Not that I was the worst at it, but it really has been in the past 4 years is when I've done the most work. Of course, I did a lot of work with getting sober, and then since my brother died, in therapy. And so one of the things that I have been working on a lot, or it's kind of all related, is being direct in my communication, and also being honest in my communication and upfront in my communication. So if somebody has done something to hurt me, I will tell them. I hate, and if this is your MO, look, I look like I'm wearing one of those like Party City like bibs thing. Sorry. I'm not a fan of the approach. Sorry for the truck outside. Thank you, truck, for shutting up. I'm not a huge fan of the approach to bullying and mistreatment or just being upset. I don't love when people take the approach of like, just pretend it didn't bother you. Just ignore it. Yeah, some people do like that. Some people do want to know that they got a rise out of you, but it's not on me to play with my emotions and try to twist things and not share my emotions and not be honest for the sake of not giving that person what they want. If they get what they want in the moment, that's on them for having shit character, and that'll come back to them. It always does, as displayed by the videos that Jessi dropped. So if you care to handle things at all like I do, which I'm not telling you should, but if you want to, I would say every time, be honest. If somebody hurts you, let them know. If they like it in the moment, that's because they have shit character. And but then they can look back when they learn and grow. They can look back on the time that you said you hurt me. So there was that. Let's see. Oh, I realized that was not before the chat. That was from yesterday. I don't remember that. Oh, I don't remember reading that yesterday. So maybe that was, so Anna, I don't know if you're watching this. You were watching my video yesterday. That's why it sounds like you were talking about yesterday's video. Embarrassed. Okay, so Victoria said, this is my first time catching PAP live. You're so excited. Welcome, Victoria. Yay. I think I saw a couple more super chats come in while I was talking my mouth off. And then I also see that somebody in Discord saying something. Y'all talking to me? Oh, Melissa, you're the best. Okay, so let's see what other supers are coming in. My goodness, you guys. Way too generous for me to be giving you this crap audio with the truck in the background. Okay, so Ellie says, hit that thumbs up, y'all. Love from Colorado. Thank you. Love from my birthplace. That's where most of my family lives, if you didn't know that. Yeah, I was born in Denver. Love from Colorado. Thumbs up for anybody who loves anything about Colorado or anyone in Colorado, or if you just love me. I'm from there. Thank you, Ellie. Nick says, I feel like Trisha could have just had private conversations with Ethan rather than posting 3 hours worth of videos of them reacting and talking about it for their millions of subs. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. To be honest with you, I still have not caught up with all of those videos, but I do plan on watching them all because I usually tell you guys in these what my next video is going to be about. I do believe that there's going to be a break in the Gabbie content as I talk about frenemies and Trisha and Ethan specifically and how they're interacting and how they're dealing with this, which is something that I want to handle carefully because I know that Trisha watches my videos. And I think it's so gray. It's such a gray situation, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people feel really conflicted. So, Nick, I think a lot of people agree with you. Phoenix says, I don't know what it was, but I never properly bought Trisha's redemption arc. Something always felt off about it. Can't put my finger on it. I hear you, and I think Phoenix Light. I don't know if this is the answer to what you can't put your finger on, but I was thinking about this today because people have started talking about how, because even my sister, who like hasn't really followed YouTube drama very much, said, it seems like the old Trisha is back. One of my friends said the old Trisha seems to be back. I made a joke that the old Trisha was back when I saw the 1-minute video about Gabbie, and then I saw that there was more of that. And I do think that Trisha kind of manage their emotions better than they used to in the past. Yes, I want to recognize that. But at the same time, I think that maybe and I think maybe some of us are kind of holding them to this status, why can't I find my words today? This standard that is not super sustainable. And I think I might have said something about that before. Just in that I saw that Trisha seemed to be trying really, really, really hard to be damn near perfect. And you can't blame somebody for trying to do things right, to do the next right move, to talk about people the right way. But I just kind of was like, okay, one of these days it's like something's going to happen and there's going to be some regression. And I think that's just going to be like a humbling moment that just humanizes Trisha again, because people have put them on a pedestal and they have done the work to kind of warrant that. But the fact of the matter is, these things that I do believe they're getting help for. They talk about therapy multiple times a week and all that. I do think that the growth is legitimate, but it kind of reminds me, here's Alicia talking about addiction and AA again. It kind of reminds me of being early in addiction recovery. So if any of you guys are out there and you have gone through this, or you know people who've gone through this, or maybe it's just me, but I remember kind of being like early in recovery. So being like in the first year or so, especially the first 3 months, I felt like I had to be perfect. I was trying so hard to be perfect, to always say only nice things. And I couldn't be comfortable ever because I was trying so hard. I was making this new big turn in my life. And so I was trying really hard to live up to a certain standard. And I think that's normal. And I think that's what was going on with Trisha, and that perhaps this is just the world realizing, as well as Trisha themselves realizing, that this is going to take time. It's not going to be, those changes were not permanent. It was practice. And so I think they'll bounce back from this and continue on that path. As for the redemption arc, I bought it, but I do think that it might be rushed for some people, because to some extent it is contrived. And I don't mean that in any way disrespectful to Trisha or anyone who loves them. It's contrived in that, like I said, it seems they're trying really hard to be good. So, I mean, I can see why that would be why some people wouldn't be, and some people are just not going to forgive them for what they said in the past and what they've done in the past. And I think Trisha recognizes that. And good, decent people will recognize that just because they've given an apology for something does not mean that anybody had to forgive you for it. Actually, good people start with making apologies. I don't say good people are bad people, but decent people make apologies. And those super decent ones recognize that apologies are not necessarily meant to be forgiven. That's up to the person. That's up to each individual person. And when it comes to certain things that Trisha's done in the past, it's up to each individual to decide whether or not we forgive Trisha. And so if that's you, if you decided like it's not there for me yet, then that's your prerogative, babe. So let's see. Molly says, just sending my love to everyone in these stressful, anxiety-filled times. Thank you. And a big thank you to Alicia for providing us a space to chat freely and be there for each other. Right after I told you, like, please don't chat a certain way. No, I really appreciate that, Molly. I love the spaces that I don't want to say I've created, because it's really the people around me that I've created. But when you guys come here and encourage certain kinds of behavior and display certain types of behavior and treat each other a certain way, it makes me really, really fucking proud of these communities. Oh my goodness, I'm on a server. Are we going to have just another one where it's just me reading super chats? If that's the case, I'm going to be doing this every day. No, I'm kidding. I could not. I love this so much, but it takes a lot out of my weekdays to get them. I see that I'm trying to look at the little emoji that Sylvia sent that says for you. I wish I could see it. It looks cute. Let me see. Thank you for that, Sylvia. That was sweet. Gemma said, I had to mute Trisha's posts because the way they're handling the drama is giving me stress. It just feels unnecessary to bring this to fans. Very messy. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. And I hope that Trisha, because I'm sure that they're getting that feedback. I think that a lot of people who have to like turn it off are people who just like are just kind of sad about the whole thing. And I think that's a lot of people. Tara Boba says, people need to stop saying mental illness is an excuse to write them off. Yep. Compared to like Gabbie, they try to recognize the harm they do. This is more like their illness as a context, but people demonize. Yeah, I am becoming more and more. It's funny because I do consider myself a mental health advocate. I've got my own mental illnesses, and the first mistake that you can make as just like a total fucking douchebag on the internet is to act like you're the only person who's got anything to deal with it, mental health wise, neurologically, like you're the only person. And a lot of times people who talk about their mental health like that are people who are like, they're acting like they're the only ones. Like Gabbie Hanna, like acting like she's the first person to have ADHD and is going to educate you on it. So yeah, I think at this point we've got to recognize, like, if I don't like to like, I don't like to ask this of you guys, but I do. But like, if anybody like doesn't mind giving a hand, raising your hand, if you've got some sort of mental illness or neurological condition that is something that you need to work through every day. And I don't even know how I would have a separate, maybe a heart if you've ever, because this is a big question. This is way too personal for some people, but maybe a heart if you've been to a psych ward. So there's my hand, there's my heart. I've been to the psych ward a handful of times. So I see hands, lots of hands. Yeah, it's almost everyone. Like, thank you guys for showing me. I love when I like ask for the emoji and you guys show me kind of answer my questions this way. Kayla. Yeah, I see lots of hands, peace signs. Nobody's been to the psych ward. Okay, I see some hearts. I see a couple hearts. Yeah, you guys, this is everyone. Not everyone. It's just like some people act like they're like in the minority for having, and yes, you probably are marginalized or in the minority with your specific condition. Like, you know, having ADHD, there's only a certain percentage of the general population that has that. So yes, you're in the minority in that sense. But in terms of broadly, like having anything neurological or psychological to overcome, to deal with, to cope with every day, you're in the majority. When you come across that person who's like never had to deal with anything mental health related, you're like, okay, you're the freak, which is like, please, I apologize if that word offended you. I say that jokingly because it's the irony is that that word used to be so derogatory towards anybody who had anything, any sort of mental illness to overcome. And now we look at the people who don't have anything, have never experienced anything like this, who don't know what anxiety feels like, who've never had an eating disorder, who's never been depressed, and those people, and you're like, what is wrong with you? And why is the sound on my phone turned on? I don't know about that, and I apologize to you. I see lots of hearts and hands. Thank you guys for being so honest and sharing that. I think it does help people. I would venture to say there's at least one person out there who's been to the psych ward, who's in the chat right now, who didn't realize how common it is and how comfortable you can be sharing that information. And I really would urge, oh, this outfit is sick. Thank you. If you are dealing with anything, hopefully you recognize that you're in good company. Please don't think that you're on any sort of pedestal for it. And so that's what I was getting at, is that I have gotten to the point where I as much as I do consider myself a mental health advocate, I'm backing away more and more from allowing us to use anything mental health related as an excuse for shit behavior. Because even if your mental health is what triggered the emotion that caused you to behave that way, you have to deal with whatever it is you did, like your behavior, your misbehaviors, and your consequences. Even if there's a mental health reason, you still have to deal with those consequences. And the less we allow it from people, the more it encourages others to get the help they need so that those things don't happen anymore. If we keep letting people use these crutches, then we're going to keep allowing shitty behavior. And like, what kind of regression is that in the world? No. We're not going to let people get away with stuff because they have anything mental health related. Maybe if you've got a severe case of Tourette's where you say curse words, and I won't get upset if you say fuck, but like from what I've heard, like that's not even common at all in Tourette's. So other than that, like you can't, no, even, you know, never mind, just nobody. Matt Catter says, I'm late, so not sure if you talked about this. I agree with Ethan on the whole frenemies thing, but I was frustrated that he kept calling Trisha she. I hear you, and I noticed that, and I think a lot of people are probably bothered by that. I do think that this probably goes into the bucket of Trisha feels comfortable with like family and people close to them saying she. And that's Trisha's decision to make completely. And they've told the world and they've told me that they really don't mind it at all. And in fact, I think they kind of prefer it, especially with their family, being called she, but with the rest of us, they prefer they. But also because it's so kind of complicated, they aren't really mad at anyone for using either. I hear you. It sticks out now. You know, I agree with the people who say like this should have been dealt with offline completely. At first, when I first heard about what happened, I was like, oh, Trisha has a lot of really good points. But then I saw Ethan's response and I was like, oh, okay, I see Ethan's point too. Perhaps we'll go into that after the super chats. I also have notes in terms of the actual step-by-step what happened with the whole Jessi and Gabbie thing. I haven't checked in with the chat because I was talking, but I really hope that moment that we shared where we all kind of like were very honest about our experiences, I hope that helps somebody. Caps for emphasis, not yelling. Well, you got seen, Sajak. You deserve it. You're a great mom and you got a fantastic YouTube channel. Go subscribe. Subscribe to Fat Sage maybe. Please subscribe to me too, because I'm trying to hit 50K by Hate Mob Day. And that's in, that's in 8 days. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We'd have to get like 500 people a day. So I don't know that that's going to happen. Let's see. What else? Who else is talking to me? Yeah, a lot of y'all are talking to me. It's so nice. What did I do to deserve you? You guys may stop giving me your money. You can email me. I love you guys so much. Okay, there's a good bit more. Yeah, okay, seriously, because I am the worst, and because I love you and you love me, can you give me like like 5 seconds to pop up, because I have severe congestion right now and I forgot to use my like phony stuff. So gonna give you an awkward moment by yourselves, but you guys do a good job in the chat before each of these. So we should be good. Okay. Who's ever done that on a podcast or on a live event? Hey guys, after a moment. I really get not congestion. I say congestion? I get constriction, where your like sinuses start to close up. I also got an ottoman. You guys can't see it, and I would move the camera, but I already have a good angle, so I'm not going to. But it's velvet and cream, and it's so pretty, and it's a storage bench. So, you thought I was just wearing a funky shirt? No, it's a long, like, boho-y wrap dress. And so I have to be very careful because wrap dresses can be revealing. So let's see. Who did I leave off with? Matt Catter? Yeah. Brandy Rose, hi. Just popping in. I'm at work. Shh. Shh. I'll catch the replay, but wanted to say you're incredible, awesome, amazing, and we love you. Thank you, Brandy. I hope that if you're watching this now or you're watching this on the playback later, you know that I love you too. And I'm going to water gang for you. Maybe just because I'm thirsty today. So Kayla Arg said, did I hit the mic? I'm such a douche. Kayla Arg says, I started therapy because Gabbie triggered me so bad. She should have her own trigger warning. Trigger warning, Gabbie Hanna. That is a really good point. No, like, dead ass, like, and I'm sorry I say dead ass. I know it's a vlog squad thing, but I'm still in the whatever. Dead ass. Like, when this stuff started, I might have told you guys this, but like when it all started with the Rachel Oates thing, right? With Gabbie like yelling at Rachel Oates on Instagram stories, I was like, oh my God, like I hate to use the word triggered because it's one of those things that's just like overused, but I felt that way. Like if my anxiety kicks in, then I'm triggered, right? Most of us, that's what we mean. And I felt that way and I was like, oh God, I must not be over this. Like I must still be like under her in some sort of way, like under her foot. Like she is my only bully that well, not my only, not now that I'm on the internet, but she's my primary bully. And I thought it was a me thing until I started talking to my patrons and realizing that it's everybody. And that's why I was saying, I think I said this in my Discord last night, but I was asking, does anyone remember when this all started? What was that, like a month and a half ago, month and a half ago? When all this started, like, do you remember feeling super stressed out where we were all kind of like bickering with each other a little bit more than usual and just like, everybody's in a bad mood. Everybody's like taking moments where they're like, I got to back away from the computer. I got to step away from the internet. I'm not in a good place. And it's so sad because it's like somehow this creator is doing that to a lot of people. It's like, I don't even like, I would love to like research like how that is. And of course it has a lot to do with the conversations we're having online around all this stuff. And of course part of it is because this person reminds us of somebody. For me, she reminds me of her. But then the other thing too is just the language she was using, I think for a lot of people, just because it was abusive. When you hear somebody like very kind of like stressing certain words like fucking, twisted, sick, bitch, like stuff like that, like we are built to feel triggered, when there's a moment like that, because those are fighting words for one. And so those words are going to, I think, send us into a fight or flight because they're fighting words. So I'm really sorry that that caused that for you, Kayla. At the same time, I'm hoping that therapy is going well for you. I get very happy when I hear that people are in therapy, just because it's done wonders for me. So I love therapy. Hate that that happened because of Gabbie. Sorry. Love that dirty water. Hey, welcome back. I've they said I have ADD, CPTSD, and bipolar 2. My fiance has OCD and bipolar 1. I've got a lot of grace for those fighting the battle unless you're cruel or unkind. Very good point. Yes, yes. And so much love extended to those of you who are dealing with, especially with a lot of these things, like stacked on top of each other. A lot of us have that. I have, I don't know if it's the same with everything or just addiction, but they call it co-morbidity when you're dealing with more than one diagnosis, and that's a lot of people. For me personally, I think I've told you guys this. My first diagnosis in terms of mental health was GAD. And then, of course, alcoholism. So I've got, addiction issues, ED, depression, and also CPTSD. And then sometimes they throw grief in there. Sometimes, so not a diagnosis, but yeah, a lot of us are dealing with a lot of things. And so seriously, extending a lot of love to you guys. You can still be a nice person. You can still be a decent person. You can still recognize that, hey, I'm flooded. And that's what I think Trisha was doing. I think Trisha is a good example of that. Definitely not on their best behavior in those moments, but you can tell that they're trying. At least to me. I know that's not everybody. You can tell that they're trying and at least doing their best. Before, right? Back last over a fall or so, we heard, once Trisha would get flooded, we would hear, that Ela is a see you next Tuesday, that, fuck you, fuck AB, fuck Dan, I'm never coming back. You're the kind of person I hate, and language like that. I'm sure Trisha's embarrassed by now. And these days we saw, I will say, I want to give credit to them for this. Then this time I feel like probably they were experiencing the same emotions, but instead said, okay, can we please end this now? And then Ethan said, sure, at the moment you walk off, we'll end this. And they said, no, can we please end this right now? I'm not going to walk off. I'd like to end this now. And that is what, forgetting everything else I talked about before that, I think that's the best thing you can do in that situation is just to ask for what you need, say please, but be firm about what it is you need. No need to call names. Just say what you're feeling and what you need. That was another tangent. So thank you for that. Love that dirty water. Cecily, hey, thank you for helping to remove the stigma around having stayed in a psych ward. Yeah. Thank you guys for being honest about it. I think that it's just one of those things that's so much more common than we think. It's one of those things where if you mention it, it's like, the psych ward. I've been to the psych ward. I've been to the top level of the hospital. But so many have been there for so many different reasons. So I do like to bring that up sometimes in conversation. Just really, let's be honest. We've all been there, but a lot of us have been there. Liz, hey, late again. It's okay. But so glad I made it. I live for your videos. Oh, as I always say, keep on doing what you're doing. You're the best. Leash. Stop it. You're going to make me cry. Put a crown in there. It's so funny. I told you guys that thank you so much, Liz. I told you guys that I really like Christina Mayone, I think. I haven't really watched her videos yet, but just from having conversation with her, I was like, oh my God, you're talking to me the way I would talk to me. I had to give her an apology. She gave me a stern talking to. But it was fair. It was totally fair, everything she was saying. And I was like, you're right. And I owe you an apology and I'm sorry. And then I was like, I think I like this girl because she's so much like me. And then I saw that she goes by King Christina on Twitter, and I'm not sure if on her YouTube channel too. And I love that so much. I don't think a lot of people know the story about King Christina. But I've talked to a couple friends before about how I love that, about how I love to, we call men, women, and non-binary people queen. Why can't I go by king? And I do that. So if you look deep in my Instagram, you'll find pictures of me with a cape and a crown, and I call myself King of the Day because it sounds grammatically awkward. That was on my anniversary, my sobriety anniversary one year, and I wasn't gonna be queen. No, I was king. I was king that day, and I think it was because I'd heard the story of King Christina, that there was a king in like the 1600s or something like that. I don't know which country, but he gave birth to a daughter, or he didn't give birth. The queen gave birth to a daughter. They didn't have a son, and instead of doing the thing that royalty does, which is continue having babies, or what Teresa calls shitting out babies, which that's a terrible way of putting it. But they, like a royalty tends to like have children until there's a male heir. And in this case, I was like, you're like 400 years progressive. This king was like, no, I've got a daughter. That daughter's going to take the throne, and that daughter's not going to be queen. That daughter's king. So I really like that. Maybe it's not progressive, but that's how I feel. And so I like that she goes by King Christina, and I go by King of the Day. St. Hudson, Ted Bundy still had to go to jail. Upside down smiley face. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because I've said it here and I've said it other places, that if we continue down this path of allowing people to excuse their misbehavior due to mental health, then we are no longer going to be able to arrest serial killers or put them in jail or put them in prison. Like, are you kidding? Are you fucking kidding me? You don't think that like the people that are committing the most horrendous crimes, you don't think that those people are kind of like fucked in the head like the rest of us? Like, again, I know that some people don't like my language and how brusque I can be. I say those things because I am that. But yeah, like we're all a little fucked in the head. So but when it comes to like really like shitty behavior, usually that's the case there too. And like when it comes to trigger warning, I'm gonna just briefly mention CSA. When it not a creep show art, the other kind. When it comes to like CSA, people who commit that, a lot of times those people were victims of CSA, and they're perpetuated. In fact, a lot of people who are victims of anything, any sort of trauma, oftentimes, or not, a lot of people who commit crimes that cause trauma were oftentimes victims of that type of crime or trauma. So no, you don't get a pass. You don't get a pass because you've been through it. You don't. And I'm not sorry. I was going to say sorry. I'm not. Thank you, St. Hudson. Grace says, "Hi, Leash. Always look forward to BP and videos. It's so nice to hear from somebody on these topics who is empathetic and hold people accountable." Thank you. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for the heart. That is more or less how I want people to see me here. And so it really makes me happy when you guys say things like that. I want to be compassionate. I want to give people room for growth, but at the same time, I don't want to be known as somebody who's going to stand for bullshit or who's going to let people treat me like crap. So that's not what you said. That's what I said. Cheyenne says, "I have been to the psych ward 12 times, and mental health is not an excuse, nor is going to the psych ward. You have to realize it can't be a crutch forever." Totally agree. I hope you didn't think that by me saying like, "Have you been to the psych ward?" was any way of excusing our bad behaviors. But yeah, I don't think that's how you took it. But just in case, I think that you're saying the same thing that I was, that a lot of us agree with, is that yeah, like if I'm gonna give you tough love with this conversation, which I do love to do sometimes, like you're not special, Gabbie Hanna especially, you're not special. You can have mental health issues. You can be neurodivergent. You can have been to a psych ward. You're not special in that you can treat people like crap because of what makes you special. You know, everybody's special and everybody's a snowflake and all those things. And I remind myself of when I talk like that. Forrest Gump's mom, how she's like, Forrest. Just remember, you are like everybody else. You are no different. And then in the next scene, the like superintendent or whatever, the school superintendent, it says something like, "Your son is different." And she's like, "Well, everybody's different," which was like funny because it's hypocritical or it's like contradictory, but I agree with it. Like we're all the same, but we're all different in a way. Let's see. Jazz, hey. You said you look stunning. Love the dress. Thank you. I keep like fidgeting with it because I feel like, oh, I feel like it's like sitting funny on me and it's like I'm naked or something. Thank you. Alistair. Hey, Alistair. Hello, Alicia. I've never bought Trisha Redemption. Trisha is famous because of being controversial. People gave Trisha a free pass. If that's how you feel, sure. I think Trisha understands too if people don't want to buy the redemption. And I think, and ironically for me, that is more of a sign of good character is if you recognize that like people don't need to like you. People don't need to forgive you. So, you know, you're totally in the right to feel that way. Telsha, perhaps? Telsha? Oh, yeah, Talsha. Sorry, I see you put that in your message. Love you. I am spending a whole minute trying to pronounce your name when you put it in the message. Love your videos and your style in each of them. Happy Pride Month. Thank you. Happy Pride Month to you guys. Pronounced Talsha. Thank you for that. Thank you for the donation and for wishing everybody happy Pride. Sir Elspeth says, I love that you have sir at the beginning of you. We are all kings if we want to be. Most folk with ADHD apologize a little too much as we screw up often. No idea how Gabbie missed this skill. Also love your dress. Also, your dress is everything. Thank you. Yeah, it's not that I think that we should be that way, but I would rather be overly apologetic than to be a dick to people. And so I can be that way sometimes. Most people in my audience can be that way sometimes because you guys are a lot like me in ways. But yeah, I think that is one of those traits that you pick up with any sort of neurodivergence or mental health issue. I think you start to, if there's self-awareness involved, then there is that over apology because you're self-aware enough to know that, hey, like, I cause problems. And sometimes I don't know if this is because of me that there's a problem. I don't know if there's a problem. I know that I'm involved and that there might be a problem. And so I think like sometimes that self-awareness can be a little bit hypervigilant and causes us to apologize or sometimes assume that things are our fault, maybe even when they're not. So that's why like I don't think that it's a great quality to be over apologetic, but I prefer it because I think that it shows a level of self-awareness. What I hate though in terms of people who over apologize is when people get to the point where they're like, I'm nothing but a piece of shit. I'm the worst person in the world. I hate that because I'll tell you this much. This is an opinion. It's an opinion. But I find that it's always the people with the biggest egos, the people that are 95% of the time always right? So always right 95% of the time. And then 5% of the time, say you finally get a point across that they can't argue. And instead of going like, okay, I hear you, I understand, I'm gonna take some time to think about this, they'll just be like, fine, I'm the worst person that ever existed and everything's my fault all the time. No, really, I really am a piece of shit. And I'm like, okay, like you completely, like you might as well just keep arguing that you're in the right because you're essentially telling me that I can't tell you when you've done something wrong or where you are wrong. And you can't own it in a mature way. So that's another tangent. I have a lot of those. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't know that I don't know if I have ADHD, but I do recognize that quality in people, in a lot of people. Cassidy says, love everything you're doing here. Thank you. So glad to catch another one of these. Heart. Thank you. Thank you for that. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I love you guys so much when you say that. And I just love you. Ava Marie says, Trisha's Ethan's lies 1 to 3. Oh, the videos 1 through 3 makes it hard to have sympathy for them as their language toward Ethan was eerily reminiscent of Gabbie's in recent events. Oof. I'm gonna have to go back and I started watching the first one. I didn't hear that so much. #Watergang. But I may need to go back, and also I may need to be a little more discerning with Trisha. I love Trisha and Ethan. So that's tough. It's just sad. Shellbell says, hey, y'all. With a heart. That's cute. Let's see if there are any more, because every time I talk so long. There's a bunch of new supers. Let me see. I've got a mention. Oh, there's something going on, and oh, if you wouldn't mind, if you can, patrons, just avoid tagging mod or if you can. If you need a mod, absolutely call on them right now. Actually, you probably need a mod because of something related to this. If it's not related to this, then if you could just give it an hour or so. I love you. I'm not trying to gripe at anyone. You wouldn't know that I get a notification, and that makes me wonder if something needs to happen. Gabriella just donated money, no words. Thank you. That's just a silent, generous person. Thank you. I have something funny to tell you guys. I'm just gonna tell you. So I found a video. So did somebody link me? How did I find it? I found this video this morning. And it was from it was by one of the Roblox kids. That community is so like I can't wrap my head around it. I really can't. It's like some of the most interesting stuff to me at the same time as it's the most like annoying thing. But like these, I say kids because I think they're mostly kids, but they make these videos and I think like you see a title and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hear this person talk about this. But they don't. They put their little Roblox characters and they're just like this, with these little chat bubbles above them where they're saying what they want to say. So instead of like, if they were adults, I'd be like, fucking get in front of the camera and tell me what you want to tell me. But they're kids, so it's just like this person made a video, said that they're suing me. And so their little Roblox character was in court in a suit going like this. And oh, because I stole their money. It said something like, helloleesh stole my money and said the N-word. So if you guys, like, I do want to address that because in case you hear about that, like, no, I did not, or else more people would be upset. I don't know if that person is here in the chat, but there was somebody in the chat on Tuesday whose name I think was, I couldn't pronounce it. I was trying to pronounce it. It was like Spinenica or something like that, like spine and then N-I-C-A, I think. So I kept trying to pronounce it because they were sending supers. So I was like, Spinenica. And so this person took that little clip of where I said, Nika. And they clipped that and they played it on loop and then they put a video of a black guy behind me going, and it's like, you're seriously like, dude, like that is so offensive to, like, you're doing the offensive thing by making it sound like, what if somebody heard that and believed that I actually said that? Like, it doesn't sound like it, so I don't think anybody really would. But like, what if somebody heard that and believed it? Like, you manufactured that. If you just piece things together to make it sound like somebody is saying something really ugly and hateful or a slur or something like that, but they didn't do it, but you produce that, it's no different than like just like deep faking it. You're the one who's putting that word out there. They also apparently, like, we're trying to go through my Twitter to find what they could find that was damning on me. The word, I guess, and they said that I'm going to have to address the fact that I did use the word ghetto in a couple of tweets in 2014, I believe, when I was saying like, oh, I did a ghetto cover of this and that. And I know these days it's not, there are much better words to use. But it just makes me wonder when people, like, when that's all they can find, I wonder, like, how many slurs did you type into the search bar before you found that? So, but I was sorry, that took a dark turn, but not a super dark turn, but they put that little clip on loop. And then I was like, what is this stuff about me taking their money? And they showed a clip and it was the person who is sending super chats. And I didn't see what they were saying because it looks like most likely the mods were deleting the message. But newsflash, if you send a super chat and you say something abusive, nasty, or whatever, and it, like, I don't know, I mean, I don't think you're going to get refunded. I'm pretty sure that your money still goes through and that the message is redacted. And so on Tuesday I said something like, oh, I said that person's name, and I was like, well, don't have anything here to read, but thank you for giving me your money. And I was like, oh, I said something like, thank you for the money for probably something that was nasty that I'm not even going to read now. And then it said in the video, it said, then refund me, you hag. It's like they called me a hag, a racist pig, a cow. These kids are so nasty. They are so nasty. But I just thought that was the funniest thing that this kid, I've been told by a few of them that they're going to sue me. And it's because I stole her money and I said the N-word, or their money. I don't know if it was a her. Wow, that was a long tangent. Felipe did the same thing. Thank you for or I don't know if maybe I'm just not seeing it, but there's nothing there. So thank you to Felipe as well. Miss Colangelo says, Margaret Mead once said, you are absolutely unique, just like everyone else. Love that. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. That's 100% true. And I love that. Skipper Lauren, hey Lauren, says, so glad to finally watch this live. You're doing great. Oh, thank you. Sometimes no, not sometimes, every time I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing an okay job at this. What am I doing? This is basically a podcast. It's not anything real, but it's fun still. Gabriella, hi. Gabriella said, and trigger warning, we're using the word abuse. My abuser was abused, and I know it's up to me to break the cycle, but I'm so scared of becoming an abuser. I love you, Leash. Love you too. And I love that you, again, are that self-aware, that you know that you don't want to perpetuate this cycle. It's hurtful. And, it happens, but once you're an adult, you got to recognize, man, like, you got to recognize that, like, I got problems. And where did they come from? And what am I doing to other people with these problems? And everybody can get help. Everybody and anybody can get help. So Caitlin says, your opinion is always with mine. I have ADHD, GAD, SAD, rooted in phobic anxiety and depression. And it's awesome to hear that I'm normal. Sorry, love you. Don't apologize. What we were just talking about is being over apologetic. I love that. And I think that why shouldn't we look at that as the norm? Aren't we kind of over like mental health being like cool and new and like fresh and making you interesting? It doesn't. You can make yourself interesting. The things that you do, the things you say, the things you take interest in, but particularly the things you do. You can be a cool person by being somebody that just does interesting things in the world, or does good things in the world, makes people feel a certain way, piques people's interest. That makes you cool. Being a dick doesn't make you cool. Having some sort of diagnosis doesn't make you cool. It doesn't. And I'm done with it. That's like so 2010, right? 2009, 2010, to be like, I have mental health. I have mental health. I have mental illnesses. And it's like, okay, everybody does. Just about everyone does. So you're not cool. And I'm not like, I have such a love and appreciation for mental health recovery in mental health, mental illness recovery, I guess mental health recovery, mental health, just mental health in general, mental well-being, mental, like the health of your mental health. That was not a well constructed sentence, but I am such a fan of reducing stigma around mental health and having these conversations about mental health. I'm not a fan of people wearing it as some sort of, you can wear your mental health as like a badge of honor if you're like, hey, this is something that I've had to overcome and I'm proud of myself. In AA, I get coins every year that I'm sober. I get another coin and I'm proud of that shit. And I take a picture and I send it to my mom every year. That's okay. It's okay to wear your mental illness as a badge of honor if you are recovering from it, or if you have recovered from it, if you are maintaining it, if you're managing it well. But you don't get to wear it just because it makes you cool and or gets you out of jail free. It doesn't. It doesn't, like, literally is not going to get you out of jail. It might give you a lesser sentence, but I'm not. Let's see. Lindsay says, I don't believe Ethan was gaslighting them in the episode. Look at all the texts where they're happy/fine with something, but later it's a huge issue for them. How is Ethan supposed to trust their feelings? Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Lindsay. Because people have opinions all over the map on this situation, and this is really the one situation, the first situation since I started doing YouTube, that I'm like, wow, everybody's in the right. I think like everybody is totally valid in how they feel, even the people who are like, I don't like either of these people. And the people who are like, I love both of them. I hate this. The people who are like, I side with Trisha. The people who say I side with Ethan. Everybody like has a reason to feel that way, and I see it. But I did see in Trisha's video, they put a clip of somebody talking about gaslighting and saying like, yes, that is gaslighting, because Ethan said to Trisha, you're upset. And Trisha said, no, I'm not. And then he's like, okay, yeah, you're perfectly fine. You're great. You're totally fine. And the person in the video was making the point saying that like, if the person says they're fine, you don't get to tell somebody how they feel. And so the sarcastic remark was gaslighting. I don't like it. There might be a word for it, but I don't think it's gaslighting. So like, can we ease up on that word a little bit? Maybe it's disrespectful. Why don't we start using the word disrespect more often? That's disrespectful. We don't have to call everything gaslighting. Everything is not gaslighting. It's not. Because if Trisha is or is not upset, Ethan saying, oh yeah, you're perfectly fine, is not going to make them feel crazy about how they feel. I don't believe it. But what upsets me, there is such a thing as being visibly distressed. That is something that, like, if you go into a doctor's office and you get to look at your chart, your medical records, they will mark whether or not you appear to be in any sort of distress. And so what I think is gaslighting, if I'm going to be honest, is when you are visibly distressed. And that shows to other people. And we've all been here in relationships and friendships, etc., where you're encountering somebody who's visibly distressed, and you ask like, is there something wrong? Is there something I can do? What's going on? You seem upset. And that person's like, I'm fine. I'm not upset at all. I'm fine. I'm not saying this is what Trisha sounded like, but like, I'm fine. I told you I'm fine. That is gaslighting. Because then the other person is like, okay, I don't know what the fuck to believe, because this person is saying that they're fine and they don't sound, look, or feel fine at all. Something is wrong with my mind. So it could be argued the other way around. I don't think either of them handled that right. And so I think they might need to find better language and just be honest. I don't think Ethan should have said, oh yeah, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, obviously. But could have said, okay, well, you seem very upset and very frustrated. And if you are, I'd like to know so we can deal with that. And if the word is not upset, if Trisha doesn't like the word upset to describe their feelings, or that doesn't describe their feelings, say what it is that's making you come across a certain way. Or maybe Ethan should have said, well, you're coming across hostile, or you're coming across with like a certain energy. Trisha started that episode saying, I'm in a bad mood today. So I wish that these people wouldn't just stall out at, you're upset. No, I'm not. Okay, you're perfectly fine. It's like, no, like, be honest. Sorry, I just like did that. But like, I get so angry because people have such a hard time being honest and direct. And it's funny because in my video last night, I had somebody saying that I couldn't communicate openly and directly like an adult. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm just kind of like, bitch, if there's anything I can do. Anyway, so yeah, so sorry, Lindsay, thank you for bringing that up. I don't think he was gaslighting. I don't think that he handled himself perfectly or necessarily all that well, but we got to stop calling everything gaslighting. That word's being so watered down, and it was such a good word. And now it was such a good word to describe something very specific, and now that it's just losing it completely. Let's see. We also have the messages from, hey, it's Meow Meow Meow. Meow Meow Meow. To be clear, Meow Meow's the first name. Meow is their last name. Super late, but here to make you meow. Usually meow like 9 times, or more like 10 or 11. Thank you. Caitlin is back. Hi, Caitlin. It wasn't until I was sober and started treating my mental health that I realized it's okay. Now I'm working on a degree to help others lost in the system. Thank you for your work. That's amazing. Yeah, like that's what I want to see more of in the world. Is like, yes, I have overcome my demons, or I am working on that, right? I'm aware that I have them or I had them, and I'm working on that. What can I do to help make the world better for it? Because just like Gabbie Hanna says, make your tragedies a work of art. Is that what she says? Like you can take your pain and your traumas and illnesses and struggles and all of that. You can always do something good with it. I don't believe if you can't find it, you can't find it. Keep looking for it because you can always do something good with it. And at the very least, it is being there for it's managing it and then being there to help somebody when it's their turn to go through it and manage it. Thank you for that note, Caitlin, and thank you for the work you do. Gemma says, both Gabbie Hanna and Jessi Smiles and Frenemy situations brought fans into the mix. Ooh, when do you personally think fans should be brought in, if at all? Love you. I love you too. It's tough to say, like in general, when should fans be brought in? I think that, sorry, I keep adjusting this. Like I feel I'm fine. I need to stop adjusting. I don't think that there's any like, here's, where to draw a line in the sand. Because there's so many different situations, but I do think that when it comes to something that's already been made public, that has made people feel a certain way, then I do think that the general audience or the people who are affected deserve to have updates or have that addressed. So in a situation like Gabbie Hanna being a rape apologist, or the argument of whether or not she's a rape apologist, because that came up, and let's be honest, because of Gabbie Hanna's own doing, that came up. And so that's been a topic of conversation that's been on the minds of anybody who's, a fan of Gabbie's, anybody who's not a fan of Gabbie's, anybody who's just like kept up with this, anybody who's a fan of Jessi's, especially, anybody who has just experienced SA and they, it hurts them they feel invalidated with some of the behaviors of Gabbie. You guys deserve to know. You guys deserve to get that apology from Gabbie Hanna that unfortunately I don't think we're going to get. So in that situation, I do think that the way that Jessi is involved, of course I'm biased, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think that the way Jessi has involved fans, like she needed to drop that phone call, the videos. I think she needed to do that a year ago. Of course, she needed to come around and be comfortable with it. But it finally answered the question. You want to talk about gaslighting? So many of us have felt crazy since November of 2019, when we're like, what is the real deal here? And I think I've said this before, Gabbie knew the truth, Jessi knew the truth, their friends knew the truth, Gabbie's fans knew the truth. The only people who didn't know the truth were the rest of us. I said that to you guys a long time ago, and now finally it's been said. And I think that that's really healing for a lot of people, or at least validating for a lot of people to be like, okay, I'm so glad this came up. I'm thanking myself for my tangent, but really also thanking Gemma for bringing this up. It made me really sad but also hopefully it'll be good. But when this finally came out, it made me think of Deanna and how Deanna was so, the girl that Gabbie was in her DMs, the fan of Jessi's, that said something along the lines of, tweeted something like, I remember the time that Gabbie defended Jessi's rapist, and I can't forget that. And then, of course, Gabbie went straight into that girl's DMs. She was 15, I believe. No, the second one was 15. Deanna was just a young person as far as I know. But the thing about Deanna is that she said, and she was so nice to Gabbie, but she said, Gabbie, that tweet existed where you defended him. You really did. And I swear on my grandfather's grave, other people saw it too. I swear, Gabbie, that tweet existed. And Gabbie, of course, says, where? Show me where. Search Gabbie Hanna Curtis Laporte. Nothing comes up. Google anything. And, talk about gaslighting. And if you find something, sorry, got something in my mouth. And if you find something, it was manufactured. So, there's no being right for that girl. and she swore on her grandfather's grave. So you know that this girl is like actually like is most likely speaking very truthfully from her memory, and in the end ended up apologizing to Gabbie. She apologized to Gabbie for saying something about a tweet that wasn't there, when in fact it existed. That is what's really upsetting, or there are a lot of things that are really upsetting about this, but that thing really, really was upsetting. Yeah, good point, Zajac. She really tried to, call Mandela effect. I think that's what she tried to do. It's bullshit. It's such shitty behavior. My God, like honestly, if if that's you and you don't have the spine to stand up and say, and by the way, like all this like going back and forth litigation and telling my story, telling this, we have to tell the history of our friendship in order to address this. You know what? You know what's so much simpler? Admitting to what you've done and apologizing. Just that. Same, by the way, because I just did a video about Charissa. Charissa, you probably are watching this. Same goes for you. Just own up to the thing that you did and apologize. People are forgiving. I was just talking to Jake about this. People are forgiving in general, especially when it comes to content creators that are interesting, who create content we want to watch or content we want to consume. So if you are a content creator who's creating content that the market is demanding, then if you can stand up, say, I did this, apologize for it, it shows good character, and it shows us that we can trust you to an extent to at least own up to your misbehaviors. And then people just like forgive and move on. They really do. Not with every single situation. Like, of course, if you're dealing with CSA or something like that, like, but situations like this, like Gabbie acted shitty, and we all know that she did. But like, this is so maddening for so many people because she's stuck to this lie for so long and has just like really like taking it to the grave, even though she's admitted to, you know, it being like in not so many words, without directly admitting that she lied, she's admitted that she's lied. So it's just, it's so frustrating. And it's just so much easier to just cop to what you've done and apologize. It stings. I've said that before. It stings, but it feels so much better than fighting with people. I had to apologize to one of my friends yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday. Oh my gosh, I don't know time, days. Where like a few friends and I, we all kind of like got involved in a situation where like we all kind of made it silly decisions separately, just the whole situation. And it was very like emotionally charged, especially with all this going on. And I was frustrated with one of my friends, and then I realized, oh God, they have reason to be upset with me that I didn't even think about. And it's such a hit to your ego to be like, okay, you're right. I understand where you're coming from. You're right. I owe you an apology, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I did that. It hurts, especially because you're admitting that I have been bad to this person in a sense, but then it makes it so much easier to be like, hey, by the way, like this doesn't define our friendship, or this doesn't define you as a person. This doesn't define me. I love you. You love me. Our friendship will continue after this. And Gabbie's incapable of that, and Gabbie doesn't maintain friendship. So is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Lauren says, in lighthearted news, my cat turned 1 on Monday. Happy birthday, happy first birthday to your cat. Lucky because you're still in like the kitten phase. I can imagine what size your cat probably is. And it's like cute little like teenager size, I imagine, to where like they're still kind of little and they still have a lot of energy. So happy birthday to your cat. So let's see. Let's see if I'm missing any supers. I am, my goodness, you guys. I hope you don't mind if this is like a repeat of Tuesday. And I'm tagged. Is something going on, mods, that needs my attention? Am I going to read emails tonight? I will if I have time. Super chats, I'll be honest, super chats always come first because people are paying money, and I don't feel comfortable not reading people's messages when they give me money. But I will say this. If you guys want to continue this conversation into future podcasts, we will continue the conversation. I've saved emails that I would like to read. And this is a super fucking important topic, dude. Like, we've been waiting for this thing to get somewhere for, like I said, since like November 2019. We've been waiting for almost 2 years for this. So if we want to continue talking about this, by God, we're going to talk about it. So, and if that means that I make a video where I read the emails, I will. But we'll get to them. But for now, I hope you can respect that. I'm going to read the messages when people pay to get them across. So I love you guys, and I thank you for sending me the emails. I would love to read them when I get a chance. Clarice says, kind of random, but watching Jessi's phone call vid reminded me of an abusive friend I had telling me, you made me, oh, that was hard. Oh, that's hard to even read. You made me act this way. And it made me feel horrible, like I was a monster, for so long. Yeah, I hate that so much. I hate that so much more than like so many things in this world, is the whole like, you made me do this. Isn't that like a classic abuser line? You made me do this. Like, I'm sorry that happened, but at the same time, I hope it's validating to hear so many people say like, that's not okay. I hope that that's what some people can get out of this. Like, because I've heard so many people say like, I'm frustrated and this is triggering me because I know somebody that acts like her, and hopefully like now getting this, and maybe that's why this is so stressful for people, because now that it seems like Jessi's getting her vindication, a lot of people kind of in a vicarious way kind of are also feeling vindicated, or at the very least validated for their experiences if they were similar experiences. So I'm sorry that happened to you. That sucks. I'm gonna water gang real quick. Dr. Thembo, hey, welcome back. They said Trish was honestly handling an oncoming breakdown with a lot of grace, and Ethan was being patronizing as hell. You could see the moment they felt they had no control of either emotions or production. Yeah, it was. I think I have to go back and watch it again because it was really just confusing, like what happened all in that moment. I don't know that I think Trisha is as innocent as you seem to think they are, but I see where you're coming from. I think I would say the same thing you did, but maybe with a different spin, where like Trisha was handling an oncoming breakdown. It seemed that they were really stressed out, probably about the Gabbie stuff. I mean, they talked about it a little bit. But like I said, they went into the podcast saying, I'm not in a good mood today. I'm in a bad mood today. And then, you're dealing with that shit that Gabbie told the reporter. Like, of course, it's upsetting. So maybe they shouldn't have done the podcast that day. Or at the very least, you don't make decisions when you're highly emotional. Guys, please don't. Don't make important decisions if you don't have to when you are highly emotional. Wait till you've calmed down. I promise you, you will feel differently. We talked about this last time, so I'm not going to go into it. But yeah, I agree with you to an extent. Sienna says, with the Ethan and Trisha thing, I think it is important to recognize that everyone is condemning Trisha for bringing this to the internet, but ultimately H3 pushed the podcast. That's a really fucking good point that I hadn't thought about. One thing I did think about is like, I love Ethan and Trisha. I love them together. One thing that I do see in both of them is that they both, and like, there's nothing wrong with this. And they're honest about it, but they're both good business people, especially Ethan, who are driven. I said that I find Ethan to be driven like it seems mostly by money and then by like principles. And Trisha seems to be more motivated by principles and emotion and then money. So, but they both like know how to make money, and they know that like if they put that out, that people are going to watch it. The question is it worth it for that to be out there? I mean, they could have worked this out behind the scenes and then come back, give it a week or whatever, come back, and then we wouldn't have known. And I guess they still can. That's their decision to make. But that's a totally super valid point. It wasn't Trisha's decision unless they made that decision together. But as far as we know, it was on ultimately Ethan, let's be real, to decide whether or not to post that podcast and then to post an update, which unfortunately it's a whole thing that I'm just going to talk about in a video. But yeah, that's such a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Let's see. Hey, Neely. Dude, it happens. Everyone fights. Oh, I hope you, I don't know if you guys know why I'm laughing. Dude, it happens. Everyone fights. Everyone beefs. It's how you handle it that shows the strength of your friendship and your character. Thank you, Pace. Neely's a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but I love you, Neely. People here love you. And if you don't know who Neely is very much like Amber. I've said that in the premiere last night. Very, very similar. So if you love Amber, you'll love Neely, I promise. If you don't love Amber, you'll love Neely. And if you don't love Neely, you'll love Amber. I'm just saying so. Caitlin says, never make a permanent decision on temporary emotions. Yes. That. Yes to that. Okay, checking to see, we may be out of supers, in which case I'll pop over to emails. But let's see. Okay, so it looks like we have time for a couple of emails. Let me pull that up real quick. Oh my gosh, that's gonna make me sign in. A lot of people wrote in, so if I don't get to your email, today, I am so sorry, but like I said, people had some feelings and some thoughts and some opinions around this situation. Oh my gosh, there's 1,254 of you in the room. Thank you guys for being here. If you wouldn't mind giving it a like, give the podcast a like. Also, why am I like sitting in this chair like I'm 5, like falling deep into it? Somebody, I can't read all of this just because I have others to read the king thing. I think you're talking about Jadwiga. She was king of Poland. No, it was actually somebody that was king. It was her name was King Christina. That's interesting. I'm gonna look into that king of Poland, or that king of Poland story that you referenced. So let me find. Okay. Here's some emails regarding most of them are regarding the Jessi thing. There might be some about Ethan and Trisha. What I did want to say is before we were going to talk about, I think even before Jessi dropped the videos, but it was definitely before we decided we were going to talk about this on BAP, somebody had written me an email and they said, hi, Alicia, I'm going to break from social media, but I just want to vent to a like-minded person such as yourself. I just hope Jessi knows that no matter what Gabbie Hanna has on her to expose, it wouldn't change my opinion of her. I listened to Jessi in previous videos when she opened up to the fact that she also was nasty at times to Gabbie Hanna. Even if Jessi was called out for something, I don't doubt she would own it, apologize, or right her wrong. Unlike Gabbie Hanna, Jessi has, in general, shown growth. It pained me knowing she is stressed during what is supposed to be a happy time in her life with her rainbow baby. Also, just know I saw everything that went down last year with you two as well, and just know that I'm not as vocal but a silent supporter in your corner. Thank you. I hope I'm making sense. Totally made sense. Thank you for reading and listening. That was Kay. Thank you, Kay. I hope you're watching. Thank you so much. I really love that email. And I think that you make a really good point. And that's even a point that I've tried to make to Jessi a few times. I'm sure a lot of people have, which is like, and to anybody who's worried that Gabbie's going to expose them, which I honestly think that's probably, I'm calling her bluff. But a lot of people have said that, like, even at this point, Gabbie has really like shown her ass so bad that like, yeah, everybody has been nasty at some point. Everybody has said something about somebody at some point. I made some sort of like remark about Dustin Daly when I was talking to Gabbie when we were friendly. And now Dustin Daly like likes my videos. And so like I'm kind of neutral on him. But like, nobody wants their text read aloud or shared, even if they're like not doing anything wrong, because it's an invasion of privacy and you say things when you're venting to somebody that you wouldn't want that person to hear. And so if you're going to do that shit, then you're just proving to people further that you're not worth being friends with. But just letting you know that I've heard from Jessi and from Gabbie the horrible things that Jessi's done, and it's not. I don't think it's I'm not going to say what it is, but it's just like a remark that like all of us have made to somebody. And Gabbie's trying to make it into something huge. And I've noticed that they've done that, is that, when I say they, because I think that her sisters do it too, I've noticed that it's like, say, I'm trying to make some sort of comparison. Say you hit me with your car. I think maybe I said something like this in the last one, but I accidentally like elbowed you or something like that. And Gabbie's the kind of person that would equate the two. And so because of that, they have this, Gabbie's been spinning this narrative that Jessi hasn't really refuted, that like, in fact, Jessi has agreed with it when I don't, but they've said like, we've both hurt each other, we've both done things, we've both, caused pain to each other's lives. And I'm sure that's true to an extent, but not to the extent that they make it seem. And that's Jessi being nice. Jessi is truly a freaking really, really nice person who I think has a breaking point. Thankfully, hopefully most people have some sort of breaking point eventually. And I think that showed a little bit with her dropping the videos. I'm glad she did. Alistair, I think how Gabbie has treated Jessi has sealed the deal for me. She can't change. As for Trisha and Ethan, they both have big egos. They were to clash. I don't know if I think they have big egos. But yeah, I do think that they have an ego clash. I think neither, like I said, with like Ethan could not just be honest and be like, hey, you say you're not upset, but you seem upset. Can you tell me, like, you're making me uncomfortable because you're not saying that you're upset. So what's going on? And Trisha didn't say like, I'm not upset, but I'm not like mad at anyone, but I'm frustrated with the situation or something like that. And that takes a bit of humility and just care. And when you don't do that, you're just butting heads and you're just fighting. And yeah, that's ego. I agree with you, Alistair. Emails. So these are, this is what I said, I'm so thankful to you guys, because you heard me when I said, like, I love that you guys email me and I want to read the long ones, but unfortunately, like, I can only read a couple of lines at a time. So I checked my inbox and I was like, oh my God, so many people are writing in, and they were like 2 or 3 lines at a time. And I was like, thank you guys so much. Because I want to read the gist of what you think or a point that you want to make. But it's a time thing. So Lily says, hi, and thank you for picking up that topic. Oh, one moment. I've got a notification, so I want to make sure that I'm good. Desiree, did I miss a super chat from you? Oh no, I'm not gonna ignore a super chat from anyone. So before I read Lily's email, I'm going to look for Desiree. I don't know if there's enough time, but is there? Let me see. I was gonna say, is there more to your username than just Desiree? I'm sure that I'll see it. Or was it recent that there was a super chat? Lindsay, Caitlin, Gabriella, Ava Marie, Cassidy. It seems like it must have been a long time ago because I don't see a Desiree. So we have Molly, Phoenix, Nick. Well, you next stroke the name of Victoria. I just went through all of them, and I didn't see a Desiree. So if you can shoot me a screenshot. I'm not seeing it. Or if you go by a different name on YouTube, if you could just drop that in the chat. Sorry, I don't want to waste any time. I want to read you guys' emails. Well, hopefully, mods, if you can help me with that. I didn't see a Desiree, so if you could help me with that, I'll try my best. Lily says, hi, and thank you for picking up that topic. These videos show how manipulative Gabbie is. I was kept in a relationship with threats of suicide every time I wanted to leave that person. So Gabbie mentioning she was suicidal, right, was a list of what she wants from Jessi made me sick. Yeah. I wish Gabbie would just go offline and really make therapy. She does have good money for a long break. Yeah, I'm sure she can at least afford good therapy. That's a good point. And I too, I think so many people hated that because first of all, it's not something that you should ever just casually mention to someone. You should always assume that if you say that you are that word, S word, you should assume that people are going to try to get you help because people are good and people do not, in general, should not want to see another person want to off themselves. So I think it's kind of, it's so tough because there are moments when people just use that word, they weaponize it. And then you go, okay, do I take this seriously or do I just brush it off? It seemed like Jessi in the moment was just like, she's, you know, apologized for Gabbie feeling that way. But it's just so shitty to be like, when Jessi was like, I've seen your live streams and I'm concerned, I'm worried. And she's like, you should be, I'm fucking suicidal. It's like, you don't just drop that on people. That's so disturbing. If you're going to tell somebody that, do so in such a way that you, hopefully they're ready to hear, or you're ready to get help. Jake was listening to the videos as I was, and he said something like, he joked, he was like, you know, it would have been so funny if Jessi had called to get her 5150 in that moment. And I thought, no, like, honestly, like, not saying that Jessi handled that wrong in any way. Jessi did great with that phone call, way better than I could have. But yeah, but Gabbie would have deserved that. And that's not me saying that as a bad thing. That's not, hey, psych ward crowd. It's not me saying that like, haha, you're going to get locked up in the psych ward. That's what I want for you. But if you're going to be saying things like that, then what I want for you is help. And if you're not going to get that yourself, then that was an opportunity to be 5150. And if you don't want to be 5150, don't say shit like that. So, let me see. Did it not help me out? Oh, fun. I just see that somebody has created another hate account. Hey guys, so excited for my new channel, going live soon, can't wait. Imagine who that probably is. You guys can go check out her channel, helloleesh with an R. That sounds perhaps like a racist take on my name. And she's got 27 subscribers. Get it, girl. Sorry, I shouldn't talk down to people for their number of subscribers. It's mean. It really is mean. I'm sorry. They want to know if it went through, so it must not have. Thank you, Sajak, for checking on that. Yeah, I double checked. I didn't see that, so I'm so sorry. If you can find in the chat where you said it, then please send a screenshot or just quote. Thank you for looking into that. Somebody anonymous said, hey, I just want to say, as an ex-stan up until right now, this has really fucking disappointed me. Not only has she lied and manipulated Jessi, but she manipulated all her fans. It makes me sad, but I cannot continue to support her. So this is me saying sorry to her victims privately, and I hope everyone's okay with the heart. I have so much respect for people like that. And I know that some people don't. Some people are like, nope, those stands, they hurt me, they hurt people, they committed crimes. I agree. I think that's totally fair too. But to see some of these stands break away, I've seen a couple of people, even people who were really awful to me, break away and say, wait, I can't stand for this. In fact, I've been defending you and you've been lying to us. And even Jessi, I talked to Jessi, and Jessi has sympathy for the fans because she's like, these fans have been through this whole process with us and they have been lied to. And so, yeah, I have a lot of respect for the fans that are able to take a step, the stands, because like it really is a cult mentality, because those that are stepping back, who they say they leave the stand room, right? They leave it. And it's a cult. It is very much a cult because, or at least my understanding, certain traits of a cult, like if there's repercussion for you leaving, that's a cult. Like, you can leave my Patreon. Like, I just had a message from somebody I really like that is a member of this community who's like, hey, like the Patreon wasn't what I expected it to be, and so I'm leaving it. Didn't want to be there. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Like, sorry it wasn't what you wanted it to be, but I understand. Thanks. You should be able to leave without repercussion, and you should be able to dissent without repercussion. And you can't. You can't in these spaces. You can't say, I disagree with our favorite, or else you have a huge problem with the other people in that community and potentially that creator. And I think there's something really wrong with that. So I did speak up to somebody, to one of these fans, and I was like, I have a lot of respect for you. You're thinking for yourself. I think it's probably an unlearning process for the people who do decide to break away. It's a deprogramming period that they're going to have to go through, and I have a lot of empathy for the people who are deciding to take that step and go in that direction. So to whoever that ex-Dan was, anonymous, a lot of respect for you. A lot of mad love from a lot of people in this community for you. Some people are not going to forgive you. Just try to be okay with that. But a lot of us have a lot of respect for you, and are extending our welcome. So Desiree says, Gabbie's logic is flawed. Her history with Jessi doesn't matter. She defended R after it was public, whether she was friends with Jessi or not. It's still gross. I started to stumble over my words because, yes, I was starting to merge my thoughts with your words, Desiree. Really good point. I wrote it, I think, in my notes. It's just the way that towards the end of those phone calls when Jessi was saying why, or I think Gabbie was saying this is going to be the process. If you don't either, you make a statement saying, I'm sorry for ever sharing private messages and talking about this person because of what I've been through. Or Gabbie's going to continue doing this, and this involved telling the history of their friendship. And I remember Jessi saying why, what does that have to do with anything? I don't know if I have apology tweets. Oh yeah, she said, I got to explain the history of the friendship, and Jessi said, how is that relevant? And then Gabbie's response, how is anything in your video relevant? And then Jessi said, Gabbie, you did a DM and I basically did a table reading of it. So there's Gabbie not even responding to the question that was very valid. How is that relevant? It's not. Doesn't matter if you were friends with Jessi or not. It really does not matter. It doesn't matter if Jessi's been a bad friend to you. It does not matter. Is that you defended an R-wordist. You did. And that's all that matters. And again, if you would just stand up and say, yep, I did this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Jessi, and I'm sorry to all of you. Because it's not good. And I said this before, the fact, her reasoning being my friend was falsely accused and I hated that bitch. And so then I made a remark about thousands of girls in my hometown do that. And that leads me to believe that, I've said this, that Gabbie Hanna's default, where most of us, our default is believe victims. Because only something like 3% of the time it's false. So believe people when they say this has happened. And also, again, it's another one of those things where if they're lying and they're fucking with you, let karma, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, come to them. It's not on us. So if somebody says that's happened to them, we believe them. And instead, it seems that Gabbie's default is not to believe somebody. So, and if you look at it from that lens, that person is an R-word apologist. That's just what it is. That's what it is. And you can change that, but you're not going to change if you don't recognize that that's what you've done. And it really does not matter if you're friends with someone. That should have no bearing. So really good point, Desiree. I'm really glad you sent that through. Thank you. If I do find out that you sent that already, I'll find a way to refund you, but I really don't think that it went through. Oh, I'm so sorry for hitting the mic. So let's see. I want to get through these emails hopefully by the end of this. So Brandy C says, I'm a huge fan of your content and your style. Thank you. I love your graceful and compassionate point of view. I wanted to write in on this new development between Jessi and Gabbie. For context, I'm a longtime fan of Jessi Smiles, and I am an SA survivor. In my opinion, what Gabbie said to Jessi over the phone was deliberately triggering. Gabbie used intentionally upsetting information to break Jessi down, a blatant manipulation tactic. There was no need for Gabbie to include that she heard the intimate details of Jessi's attack other than to trigger and humiliate her. I have never been so disgusted by Gabbie's actions. She continues to cross the line again and again, and I believe at this point Gabbie does not deserve the redemption arc. She's clearly plotting. P.S. Thank you for including your perspective on this issue. You're very brave and hardworking. Sharing what Gabbie has put you through and others through, and I know it's appreciated. That being said, I hope you're continuing to take care of yourself and have all the support you need to continue in your journey. Heart, 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 heart. Thank you so much. I think I do have really good people around me, including the people who are here, you guys chatting with me. I don't want to get too speculative about what somebody else's intentions were. But I will disagree that it's super shitty behavior. That was so, like, it's not even just that. I have shared information with a friend very recently that ended up hurting them, and I didn't even realize at the time, like, oh God, like, I don't need to tell people everything. Like, I ask my own followers, please don't tell me like the mean things that people are saying about me unless I need to know. And so, like, it could have been a mistake on Gabbie's part to tell Jessi that, if I'm super giving her the benefit of the doubt that she doesn't deserve. But either way, it was hurtful to Jessi, and it was audible that Jessi was crying and breaking down and upset, and Gabbie just continued to talk and talk and talk in a calm tone of voice, like nothing had happened. And that to me is super disturbing. That's fucked up. I think they're I'm double checking any super chats. I think there've been a couple, so letting you guys know I'm going to read them, but I'm going to read one more quick email. Anonymous said, I noticed that Gabbie talks a lot, talks over people, and over-explain everything to overcompensate. Jessi didn't say much, and yet Gabbie goes, let me speak. Huh? That's all she's been doing was blabbing. Yes. In fact, I was complaining to Jake about that. He was like, she sounds like somebody who has been through these situations enough to where she has a response for everything. And I said, that is exactly what I felt too when I talked to her. I was like, the only moment that Gabbie gave me I felt like I couldn't get a word in edgewise when I spoke to her. And then when she would give me a moment to speak, it was like she corners you. It's weird. It's why I felt icky. But she has this way of like cornering you and getting a gotcha moment where she'll give you a moment to speak, but only when the only response is in her favor or catching you in something. And like I was explaining to him, and I think I told you guys in my explanation video what happened, but when I was talking to her, or when she was talking at me, I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and it got to the point where I got so frustrated that I started yelling at her. And then I realized, like, this is not something I do, and I need to apologize to her for yelling. Don't remember what she was referring to, but she stopped at that moment and said, so don't you think you owe me an apology? She wasn't talking about me yelling at her, but it was for something else. And it's just like, that's the moment that she'll give you to talk. And so that's why I said, like, in those moments that I could talk, I couldn't find my words. So, like, yeah, it's super shitty how that goes down. So I see a couple more super chats. Did I miss somebody's? I think I might have. Let me go back. Dante, I didn't see, and Alistair. So Alistair said, I think how Gabbie has treated Jessi has sealed the deal from, oh yeah, we talked about that. Okay. Dante says, keep staying strong. You're a true fighter. Heart and hashtag water king. Thank you. You guys are going to make me have to pee so bad. And Caitlin said, take it from someone who had a friend commit that after his ex's friend told him to go ahead when he said he was thinking about unaliving himself. That's so sad and so scary. And that's why that's so, again, like, even more reason, don't fucking, like, use that as a weapon. God, that's so fucking scary. God, I'm so sorry that happened. And let's see, Caitlin also said, I meant that last one as, trust me, you don't want to feel as something could have saved someone's life after they threaten. S word. Yeah, exactly. It's so shitty. I think I gathered what you were trying to say. God, that's so awful. Jessi says, on Frenemies, for me, the problem isn't what was said during the podcast, but the drama that has occurred after that has made me lose respect for Trisha. Yeah, I like I said, I still need to catch up. I watched the most recent one, the like, this needs to be said, and then most of the first part of the first video. I understand where you're coming from. I haven't lost respect for Trisha. I just think that it's apparent that they are having struggles with their mental health. I think that's what it is. I think, like I said, they were holding themselves to a standard of near perfection, and they were doing a pretty good job, honestly, of living up to that, but it's not sustainable. And eventually these problems, especially if these problems were pretty bad recently. That 1-minute video where she's talking about Gabbie Hanna sounds a lot like the one from a year ago. Oh, I said she, I think. I meant they. Sounded a lot like a year ago. And so it's very recent that these things were going on. And I think it's okay to recognize that, like, hey, like my shit's coming up again. And I've got to deal with this before making decisions about like what we're going to do with our podcast. That's how I wish that they'd handle it. I haven't lost respect, but I mean, I hear you. You have every right to feel that way and every reason to. So Desiree, is the same Desiree? I'm wondering. Desiree says, the phone call recordings prove without a doubt that Gabbie weaponizes her fans against her detractors and that she is a R-word apologist. This could have ended years ago with a simple apology, admitting her wrongdoings and acknowledging why Jessi felt hurt. We all have traumas and many people struggle with mental illness. It's not an excuse to continue to harass and bully everyone around you because they're attacking you. She needs to grow up and self-reflect. This is exhausting and frankly embarrassing to watch her implode like this time and time again. Desiree, you basically said everything that this podcast was about. Yeah, exactly. All of that. Like weaponizing your fan. You are an R-word apologist. Fucking admit it. Apologize for it. Recognize why Jessi's hurt. Jessi's hurt. And it's the one thing that she said to you that one time is not equivalent to this. And either way, like we don't keep tabs in friendships. We don't keep scorecards. And on Gabbie's scorecard, again, if you just say something like, oh, bitch, and then take it back, like you've already said something really bad to her. You've already done her wrong. And so the scorecard is all or nothing. So Gabbie can send a hate mob to you. And that's her scorecards are either black or white. And it's just so shitty. Ugh, yuck. It is embarrassing and exhausting. Anonymous said, I've known about the Gabbie Hanna Jessi Smiles situation for years now. It had popped up in smaller communities on Twitter and Tumblr back in the day. I think the first time I ever saw anything like that was on when Gabbie's sock account, the Anne Jeanette one, was exposed for leaking David and Liza's breakup. And then the Blog Squad fans dug into the account and Gabbie's history. Tumblr was a strange place. I wonder if you're talking about the Jeanette Riot one, or did that also happen on Tumblr? The phone calls were so triggering. As much as I hate to say it, Gabbie legitimately reminds me of my R-wordist. He talked to me in the same way. He held the same aggression, the same victim mentality. It genuinely scared me hearing them. It felt so strikingly similar to how I was treated by both him and his friends. So many things that Gabbie said, particularly the I'm allowed to have friends and the when the story broke, everyone thought you were a liar statements chilled me. I felt like I was 15 again. Oh, I'm so sorry. Gabbie Hanna desperately needs to be deplatformed. Her relationship, a stranglehold really with her fans, in particular her underage ones, is dangerous. I'm worried over how Gabbie is ruining her stance of empathetic development while their brains are still developing. I really wonder how many parents, partners, and spouses are clueless over what their loved ones are doing online in defense of someone that wouldn't be their friend in a million years if they weren't paying her. And they also said poor Deanna's username, the fan that Gabbie DM'd, is blaming herself for this whole thing. That's so sad. So there's so much sadness in all of that, and so many good points and things that I've thought about too. I've thought about that too. Like, oh my goodness, like do their parents know that this is going on? Like, oh, this is awful. And yeah, the whole everybody thought you were a liar. Like, cool. That doesn't make me feel better. Like, why would that make somebody feel better? How does that further your argument? Stop. God, you're such an embarrassment, Gabbie Hanna. Ugh. Madeline said, I want to speak from someone who has experience of a lifetime of SA and how the situation made me feel. The idea that someone might have considered a friend or more possibly going to hear out someone who had assaulted me is a whole other level to being an R-word apologist, especially if there's no reason as my friend for them to assume I was lying. I don't know the situation 100%, or if they weren't even friends yet and then became friends later, or whether or not that's true, but I'm not completely sure. But I do know that within my own family, when I said this happened to me, no one asked the other family member if they did it. My parents immediately cut them out. I'm 24, by the way, and I told them when I was 14. It is disgusting, and the excuse of catching them in a lie to me is complete backpedaling. And what does that do for the person who was assaulted? Just confirm that they did it to you. Yeah. Kind of. First of all, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so glad that your parents believed you and took action. Not that that makes up for it in any way, but thankfully they did the right thing. But yeah, like what, like I said, what's that gonna do? Like, it just brings it up for Jessi again. And I haven't said this yet, and I wasn't around, or I was around. I just wasn't following any of these people. I didn't care about buying or any of that. But the more I've seen this go down or like replayed, I'm like, I think, hear me out. I think maybe, possibly, Gabbie had a fame boner for Curtis. Sorry if that word is brusque or weird or ugly to you, but it's the best descriptor that I can think of. I think she had a fame boner for Curtis, just based on the way she was like tweeting and saying like, oh, to even be placed in the same category as these people, and blah, blah, and like, I was going to address like the times that she's like, I saw him at an event, he like tried to get a selfie with me. Like that shit's bullshit. And there are reasons, I can cite reasons that it's bullshit. But to me, I think personally, that's why she had that conversation with him. I think she wanted to be friends with him, honestly, but that's speculation. I'm not saying it's true. Oh, and they said, thanks for all you do, Leash. These conversations are so important. Thank you. Let me see. Oh no, that was a different email. I'm gonna make sure my super chats are loaded. So it looks like somebody did send one. I will get to it after I read this one from Anonymous. I cannot express just how badly I've been triggered by the phone call videos. I'm someone who was R-worded and continually essayed by my ex-boyfriend for years. I didn't realize what it actually was until after I broke up with him last year, and it took months to come to terms with what he had done to me. I tried to come forward to friends about it, and nobody believed me. I really felt for Jessi, especially when Gabbie said everyone thought she was lying, because I know what that is and how painful it is. That said, Gabbie needs to be stopped, and she needs to be removed from the internet immediately. These videos proved what we already know, that she is an R-word apologist, and I really believe her presence on the internet will continue to do more harm than good, especially for SA survivors like me. Thanks for all you do, Leash. These conversations are so important. Thank you. And thank you for writing in. And again, for you too, like, I'm so sorry that happened. And also that like it's handled, these things are handled the way they are. And that like for people like Gabbie and others like her, it's like the default to not believe. And like, that's so fucked up. And then the other thing too, is that I think that this happened with Jessi. I think this happens for a lot of people when they're in relationships with their R-wordist, is that people have this mentality that like, if you're in a relationship with somebody, or if you had been, or if like you've had a sexual relationship with this person in the past, that like you're not really R-worded. It's like, no, you need consent every time. Every time. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter the nature of your relationship. That makes me mad. Thank you for writing in though. Let me check these supers. I see a couple of supers. Let's see. I'm opening that up while I read another quick message. Somebody said, I'm trying to not get too involved in this, but Gabbie reminds me of my narcissistic mother and sister. I also think it is really strange that Jimmy Snow still follows her as of today, and kind of feel that someone who claims to be a feminist probably shouldn't be supporting a bully with severely internalized misogyny, and who I think that it means, and who is a R-word apologist. However, most of the heat should go to Gabbie, who is absolutely disgusting. Love that. Yeah. And Jimmy, step up. I think a lot of people are demanding that, and he's not doing it. I think that man is a coward. I don't know much about him. I only knew I knew that people liked his channel, like who watched me. and then the thing with Rachel Oates happened, and then the way he handled it. It would have been one thing if he had handled it well afterwards. I think he could have had a good point that like maybe Rachel took this wrong and then acted impulsively by taking it to the internet, and he could have had a point. But anybody who gave him any sort of criticism about the way he was talking about Rachel online, he would just say fuck off and block them. So that shows me that you can't handle any sort of criticism. And now you're not stepping up to the plate to say, I don't condone this behavior. Like I said, I don't want to keep holding everyone's friends accountable for what they do, but step up. Like, people want to hear from you, because this shit is so, so against what you claim to be for. But I don't know, he sounds like somebody who's so full of himself that makes people cowards. It's Gabbie Hanna. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch. Okay. So Miguel says, so Gabbie got a confession about SA after hearing them out. And then what? Defend the fact that she has a right to have friends? Yeah, like, what is the end game? What are you gonna, like, what could she have possibly gotten out of that conversation? I'm gonna catch him in a lie? How? You weren't there. All you have is no, Jessi said this is what happened, and you signed a confession. And honestly, like, that doesn't change anything. So yeah, like, good point. Like, what is your end game? What defending that you can have friends? No, that doesn't prove anything. You're right. Lauren, just a note to say, proud of everyone in therapy. Yay, I am too. I love therapy, and I wish more people would get therapy. Caitlin says, I hate using this word, but Gabbie Hanna truly seems delusional, and no one in her life is making her own her part in everything, or making her own her part in everything. I agree. I have issues with words like people saying she's a narcissist, or words like trigger, manipulation, gaslight, like things that I just think are overused. But delusional, I'm so comfortable using that with Gabbie Hanna, and honestly, her family members too seem the same way. But yeah, I mean, it's just, she's detached from reality. If she believes that she is the victim in these cases, if she does believe any of her lies, like, she is detached from reality, and that is delusion. That's what it is. And I think you're totally in the right to use that word. In a Lovely Dream says, I have empathy for both sides with the Trisha situation. Mental health is a permanent uphill climb. I think she'll be able to take accountability. I hope so. I have hope too, just like you do. And I hope that most people can have hope for them, even whether, you said she, I should have said they. But yeah, I have hope for Trisha, and I do, like, I don't see any reason that they shouldn't continue to grow from this situation. It seems like they have a good system around them. So I just really hope they work it out with Ethan, not even so much for the podcast and for their friendship, but because they're family at this point. So that's important to me. Somebody else, let's see. Somebody said, I just have a question. Is Jessi's abuser really running around telling people like Gabbie Hanna how he R-worded her? That is so fucked up. Yeah. Sure. It's a good question. I don't know. Somebody else, Shannon, says, I listened to and read Jessi's tweets this morning and this was when it happened, and felt so emotional afterwards. The moment that stood out to me was the part where Gabbie says, can't remember exact quote, but along the lines of, Jessi, you do realize that when the article first came out, everyone said you were lying, right? That genuinely made my heart drop. Being a survivor of R-word by a previous partner of mine, I know how much anxiety I felt thinking that anyone I told would also think the same, and cannot imagine what my reaction to someone confirming that fear would have been. I do not care if Gabbie was trying to clear her name. That statement was unnecessary, and I would go so far as to say evil to even think of saying to a survivor. Yeah, it doesn't prove your point. It doesn't prove any point. It doesn't clear your name. It doesn't clear your name. Just because other people didn't believe Jessi doesn't mean that clears your name. No, those people are R-word apologists too. Lele and whoever else was involved in that crowd that stayed friends with Curtis and defended him. They are all R-word apologists. I was not privy to who's in that crowd, so I don't know who to hold accountable except for Gabbie in this case, but especially Gabbie because she's friends with Jessi. Alex was one of those people. Alex continued to hang out with Curtis. I don't think he defended Curtis, but continued to hang out with Curtis and then apologized to Jessi. And that's why they're friends, because he apologized. That's all you got to do with some people. Is just apologize, and you can't do it. And yeah, like I said before, like just, oh yeah, let her know that everybody thought she was a liar. Like that just, it just pours salt on a wound that the person didn't even deserve to get in the first place, and which is an open wound that keeps being reopened and reopened and reopened. Like, God, let the girl heal already. Amira said, I'm just kind of disturbed by the idea of someone wanting to hear the side of a confessed R-wordist. Regardless of whether the victim was your friend, what exactly do you want to hear? How he did it? The grisly details? You could literally see the shock and mortification on Jessi's face. And I felt so sorry for her because you could tell she was reliving it. And don't get me started on the whole I want an apology because I'm S-word thing, because holy shit. Anyway, love you, Alicia XX. Love you too. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, it's just like, I think I've started to realize that for Jessi, possibly this is speculation, and I could ask her, but it's almost as if she's continuing to relive this, obviously, but to a certain level, like to a certain degree. It's a lot more about Gabbie's role in this and their friendship and that how that played a role and all that. But the closer it brings, the closer and the more you bring up her actual assailant, that I think that probably is super triggering for her, way more than even anything else Gabbie was saying, is like to be reminded or to hear that these conversations happened with this person that did this awful thing to you, this terrible thing. I feel like that is like triggering on another level. So like fucking like don't do it. And then if you do it, maybe don't tell her. Maybe talk to one of her friends and say, hey, I did this thing. I don't know if she should know. Like, can you help me make this decision? Or just like, or at least I want you to know. But like, don't, that was just a stupid decision on Gabbie's part. The last email I have here is somebody saying, regarding Trisha, somebody said, hi, long time, I think, okay, yeah. Long-time viewer, first-time emailer. Trisha leaving Frenemies is so disappointing because it feels like they still have absolutely no ability to compromise or see things from any other perspective but their own. Their myopic point of view has sabotaged them time and time again, and I truly believe that they get to a point in their recovery and therapy where they can see beyond themselves. But I truthfully have no sympathy for them in this matter because I feel very strongly that they are sabotaging themselves for no good reason. There was a professional way to handle this situation, but instead of taking that route, they decided not to put in the work, burn the bridge, and make a video trying to convince themselves and their audience that their decision makes sense when it doesn't. Love your vids. Hope you're doing well. Heart. Thank you. And I am doing well. As we've gone over this over and over again. I think you have every reason to feel that way. It's a little harsh for how I feel, but also I need to watch those videos again. Yes, Trisha has admitted to self-sabotage before, so wouldn't be anything new. Just kind of like they've admitted that sometimes when something seems to go wrong or it's frustrating, that it's just like they just want to burn it all down. And this felt reminiscent of that. I am just hoping that it's like a relapse, you know? You see somebody relapse and you just hope that they bounce back. Like they recognize what happened and go, okay, I don't want to go back to that anymore. Let's get back on track. But only time's going to tell from here. And then Pink Bunny says in a super chat, I don't like Gabbie. Where's the actual banning? Yeah. How do we make that happen? And kind of going back to somebody's question about like, at what point do you involve the fans and stuff like that? I do think that it's important too that fans know about things like this. Or I don't know if it's about fans knowing, their parents should know. But I do think that somebody should be deplatformed at a certain point. And I've said this before, it's a lot of people are like against deplatforming, cancel culture and all that, but I am all about holding people accountable. And if they're being irresponsible with their platform, taking it away. I mean, we've got this influencers is a whole new world. They're not celebrities. Celebrities, traditional celebrities, mainstream celebrities have always had this separation between themselves and their audience. And so there's only so much of a parasocial relationship you can have with a celebrity that feels untouchable, that's not accessible. And with these influencers, it's you've got to be responsible if you're going to have one of these. And if you're not, then you deserve to have it taken away. Maybe it's not going to be taken away, but I have every right to believe that it should be taken away. Because if you're doing harm with it, if you have this thing and you're doing harm with it, why shouldn't you have that taken away? You know, like, I feel like that's like a no-brainer. I don't know why anybody feels any differently, to be honest. Katie Ho. I don't like Gabbie, but I feel bad for her sometimes. What do you think of that? I used to feel the way you did. I get it because I was there all the time. Like, even when she was really mean and nasty to me, I still felt bad for her. I don't feel that way so much anymore because this person is in their 30s now, has been given every opportunity to work on this, claimed it was pretending to be some sort of mental health advocate for a while, and yet has not done the work, has not done any of the work to help themselves, and they've continued to hurt people. Kind of like Lily's video that she made, that it was funny, the Mean Girls edit, but it just showed just a handful of victims of Gabbie Hanna. Truly victims, really. And you just see like person after person after person after person. People have been hurt by Gabbie Hanna, and these people that we see these quick glimpses of are all people that have been able to make an apology. Gabbie cannot. So it gets to a point where I get so frustrated, especially when I see these things happening to like Rachel Oates, my friend, Jessi, my friend, especially when you, and myself, I love myself, my friend. When you start to see these things happen to people that you like and love, then you lose that patience and that sympathy that you feel for that person. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I don't really feel for her all that much. Like, yeah, it sucks. It sounds like this is all stemming from a really like traumatic childhood, and I hope that like she gets better. But I don't have that soft spot in my heart anymore. It's hardened for sure, but it was soft for a long time. It was soft until the Rachel Oates thing. Really, that's what did it for me. So this whole like, I'm trolling, which like is such bullshit. This like thing that she's doing right now, because on one end she's like telling this reporter that like, oh, this is because of my ADHD that I'm behaving this way. There's a reason that I'm behaving this way. Whereas we've also heard her say that no, she's trolling. It's funny because Trisha was like, oh, that's trolling. I recognize that because I used to do that so much. Trolling. Also, I'll let you guys know, I've seen conversation between somebody who confirmed that this is a character, for her music. It's a character to release a cover of Alanis Morissette. Can you imagine Alanis Morissette being the icon that she is, feeling like she had to be a character and method act for you ought to know? No, Alanis Morissette seems to be like a lovely woman, and she has emotions, and it was raw, and she was angry, and she performed that song, and it showed it. You felt it. We all have those emotions. You don't have to become a villain to have those emotions. We all have them, and that's what was so special about that song. Now I'm going on a tangent. Hopefully that's okay. But regarding that cover, that song is about such raw emotion. It's anger towards an ex, obviously. And when you watch the video, you see just a person who's like kind of like thrashing around, and it's kind of it reflects what the song is about. Gabbie on the other, but hold on. But on the outside, like outside of that song, Alanis Morissette seems to be a very lovely woman, very friendly, affable, was able to marry Ryan Reynolds. So like there's something awesome about her, definitely, for sure. And I think a lot of people see it. And instead, like Gabbie, like feeling like she has to change who she is and play a characterized version of it. And it's only so much of a character. You can't call it trolling if you're hurting people. If you're hurting people, I mean, I guess you could be trolling, but like if you're just calling people bitches and stuff like that, what happens when you stop trolling? Do you come back and be like, just kidding, Rachel isn't those things that I called her. None of these people are these bad words that I called them. And I really never wanted to like put your sobriety and your mental health at risk. I didn't want to do it. Like, no, like you've actually done those things. And so if you've done those things, you are the villain, you are the monster, you're not trolling at this point, and it's not a character at this point, you are that thing. But for the sake of this conversation around characters and music, like imagine Alanis Morissette thinking that she has to go into like a character in order for that song to be authentic. It's so inauthentic because Gabbie is being fake, because this is like, to some extent, this is contrived. This is admittedly something that she wanted to do before this music release. It's so stupid. And so you're telling me that like you have to become a certain person in order to write, or you didn't write a song, to cover a song about this raw anger. And then on top of that, I love how Sajak pointed this out in her video. I hated it. Every time that there was some sort of reference to sex in the song, Gabbie did some sort of like sexy like body roll. And it's so not reflective of what that song is, what it is at its core, what it feels like, and what it's about. And so it's like you do all this work to go into a character and then you don't even play it right. So like and it was all for a cover. Like there's so many reasons I think that was stupid. I should have made a video about it. But Sajak had that covered. I think I was going on a tangent and a rant while there were some supers coming in. So let me just check on those real quick. And I would like to know from you guys, there's still more, I still have more notes. I have more people have written emails. Do we want to continue this until into next Tuesday, or do we want to wait and see? Think about it. Let me know if this is something we want to continue talking about, because obviously we're talking about two separate situations, but it was going to happen. Even if I came on here to say like, hey, today we're going to talk about fashion, we would have ended up talking about Jessi, Gabbie, and Ethan and Trisha. So it may be inevitable next week, but I would like your input. Let's see. Katie says, I don't like Gabbie, but I feel, oh, you already said that. Lydia says, just wanted to say thank you for talking about going to psych ward and having people message hearts. It helps to know that other people had that experience and can talk about it, and I'm not alone. I love that so much too. I do. Again, I think that it feels embarrassing. It feels like dehumanizing to go to the psych ward and then to admit it to people. And then when you see like actually a lot of normal people have been there, it's so like, oh, okay, so this is something that normal people do sometimes. And I'm going to say that normal, meaning that you're just fine. You guys are fine. And normal as in you're dealing with shit just like everyone else is. Nothing way out of the ordinary, you know? Alistair says, if a friend of mine was SA, I would want to hurt their attacker. Sorry, but I don't have regrets in saying that. You have every right to feel the way you feel about that. And obviously, like, I think a lot of us would want to. I don't know, like, that we would or that we would actually try to, but a lot of us would feel like, I want to hurt this person. They hurt somebody who loved me in such an egregious way. And it's just like, so like that never occurred to Gabbie. Like, I'm sorry, but when Jessi was like, no, sir, thank you, fuck you. And then when Gabbie was like, yeah, fuck him. Right. And I think that was so fake. And I think the only reason that she said, agreed, fuck him, I think was just trying to triangulate Curtis so that she could get back on Jessi's good side. Well, not that she ever was, but at least get back to wherever she was. I think I think she was triangulating Curtis and to be like, yeah, he's the bad guy here. When in fact, I don't think she thinks he's bad at all. I think she likes him. Again, that's based on speculation. That's just based on the vibe I get off of her behavior. Cassidy says, something I had to learn, you stop being the victim when you start victimizing people. Love your content. Thank you. Yeah, you become the villain at that point. You are the monster, you are the villain, you are whatever all these, Gabbie writes these songs about being and then accuses other people of being: bully, abuser, villain, monster, etc. She is those things. That's her. She's racking up a whole lot of victims. She's leaving them in her wake, and to such extents where like people's mental health is really fucked with every time, like really badly. And I'm sorry, but and she's equating it to like, I'm sorry, but stupid little things that have happened to her. Like somebody, like people leaving a mean TikTok comment, and then she'll be like, what I've been through. It's like, we all fucking get mean comments. We're influencers. Stop it. Maybe don't do this. People have told her you're not cut out for this, and you're not. You're not cut out for this. You can't handle it. So just like, go, give up your platform. You don't deserve it. You're not doing right by it. You're not doing right by your fans. You're not doing right by anyone. So give it up. So, whew, that was a lengthy chat. I spoke for over 2 hours. Yeah, I would love to hear, maybe we can chat over on Twitter about, maybe, I'm sure that this conversation will morph. So if there's nothing else that's more pressing or more interesting coming up, we'll talk about something else. I would love for you to tweet me or email me ideas about what you want to talk about. But if this is what is on our minds next week, then we'll probably continue talking about it. So let me know how you guys feel about that. Oh, wait, I want to read what Nayli said. Gabbie is a raging misogynistic pick-me girl. Never trust a woman that's not a friend to other women or brags about girls hate me. I get along better with guys. Can we have a moment about this? I hate that too so much. I've made a joke with, at least on my Patreon. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, and if somebody doesn't like it, then you don't like it. But at least I'm being authentic. But I've talked about that joke or that skit on SNL. If you've watched it, or if you watched SNL like 10 years ago, with Kristen Wiig, and it was like a cologne or perfume ad, and it was like Kristen Wiig would, like, she's like this beautiful woman, but then she'll say something like, "All my friends are guys," and then the commercial would jump to red flag, and that was the name of the perfume, was Red Flag. And it's like Gabbie displays all that behavior and all the things that we've either heard people say or heard girls say at the height of insecurity, and or things that we've said when we were feeling really insecure. And so, like, yeah, we've heard so many times, like, I just don't get along great with women. Women are drama. That's like, tell me you're a pick-me girl without telling me you're a pick-me girl. That's how, by saying like, women are drama. If you can't get along with other women, then there's something wrong with you. And that's just that. So, red flag. Gabbie Hanna. Anything Gabbie Hanna says, red flag. All right. Yeah, there are, and yes, Chrissy, there are lots of toxic women out there, but there are toxic people in general. So you can't, like, you should be able to bond with other women. It's important to bond with other women, like psychologically and like hormones and shit. Like, we need to be able to do that with each other. So anyway. All right, guys. Speaking of not wanting to talk to women, I need to go spend time with my man and my boys. And now my girl cat, Moses, who hangs out in her teepee that I got her. So so when it comes to clothes, I love that dress, hon. I apologize, anyway, for sounding like that type of person. I don't know if you sound like that person, but thank you for complimenting my dress. I love to bring you guys fashion, and I love that you guys just let me wear what I want and do what I want. And it's just, I like that I'm making it part of my channel. I love it so much. And my fabric is going to be here soon, and so I will be making dresses and skirts, or attempting to, for these. And then I'll probably be putting those up for sale, because like, and even I need to make a Depop for like these dresses and stuff, because once I've like posted on Instagram and I've worn them in a video, like I'm probably not going to want to wear it again. Like, it's too much boob for me to wear in public. Before I go, a Canadian person, Annie, gave me $5. Recently found your channel. The community you've built here feels so welcoming and kind. Thank you for being you, and community. Thank you too. I like that note to end on. Thank you for that, Annie. Yeah, these people are really fucking awesome. They're really fucking awesome people here. I love you guys so much. You guys have made this, I mean, this is the only reason that I'm willing to work this hard, like have a full-time job and do all this, is because of you guys. So thank you. Thank you for joining me for this conversation. Thank you for humoring me. Thank you for saying so many nice things to me. Simply Monica. Hi, Leesh. Just wanted to like to ask that you speak on the Trish matter as soon as you're able, because because she's receiving a lot of toxic hate and not doing well. Yeah, I'm probably going to speak on it. They, it would be the right, the proper pronoun, the correct pronoun. I'm probably going to speak on it soon. But I don't think it's going to be necessarily just in Trisha's favor. It's, I have a lot of love for that person as much as I can for somebody I don't know, and hope that things start to ease up for them. Peapot Fairy says, curious if you'll be addressing all the Creepshow art stuff. I'm about 30 minutes behind, so if you've already answered this, I apologize. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Shannon. All I know is those things that they said about me last year, and then this apology. So if I have time to research it, then I might talk about it. But by God, where am I going to find that? I don't know. We'll see if that's what you want. I'll look into it, but it would have to be definitely have to be something that I would research, because I'm not invested in this creator enough to where I can speak on them and their character like I do with others. That's why I speak about the same people so often. And it takes time for me to start becoming interested in other people and invested enough to where I can talk about them. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I got to get moving, guys. I love you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. I love this one just as much as I loved the last one. And I'm going to love it again, I'm sure. Next week. I'm going to try and get you guys a video Sunday. I'm going to do my best. We'll see. I have all night tomorrow by myself. All right, guys. Feel free to email me if you've got any information, or like research that you've done or anything you want to share with me. Somebody said water gang. Lainey said water gang. So with that, I love you guys. Drink your water. And most likely we'll have a live premiere on Sunday. So I love chatting with you guys there, and we'll switch it up and go do that. So I'll see you guys in a couple of days, but I'll see you over on Twitter, probably. Patrons, I'll see you in Discord. Also, like the video if you haven't, please. If you are interested in possibly anything that I have to say and want to know what might be a follow-up, or if you like this community, please hit subscribe. I'm trying to hit 50K by Hate Mob Day, but I'm realizing that's 8 days away, and I'm rhyming stop. But it would be nice. It would be nice. And yeah, and if you like what you see in terms of a community, the Patreon is only $5 a month, and we have a lot involved. There's a book club. There's a private channel for people either living with or loving somebody with addiction problems, or addiction or in recovery. We have a club for, oh my goodness, I just realized, I had Spirit Club tonight, and I'm not there. It starts at 8:15. So I'm probably going to have to apologize to them. Hey guys, hey everybody, I'm so sorry. I know we skipped Spirit Club last week, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to make it up to you guys. I will. But I guess we're not doing that tonight, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I love Spirit Club. It's where we talk about religion and spirituality and stuff like that, and just issues, and we're like, it's just an awesome time. I love it. But I'm sorry I can't be there this week. There's just so much going on. All right. Oh, thank you for resubbing, Miguel. Is it open to recovery? It's open to any kind of recovery. You don't have to, and you don't even have to tell us anything. You don't have to tell us what you're dealing with. No, we don't ask any of those questions. There's nothing that you need to tell us to qualify for it. You don't have to ask. If there's a simple bot where you just join and you can talk, you can just listen, you can whatever. It's just like an NA or an A meeting, or I'm sure there's meetings for that too for SH. Just like you can walk into them and sit and just listen, and nobody's going to ask you any questions. That's what we try to mimic, more or less. Recovery is recovery. Yes. Thanks, Chapelle. All right, guys. And speaking of recovery, please take care of yourselves. Please don't send hate to anybody that we talked about, or anyone in general. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Just don't do it. And please reach out to somebody and give somebody a hug tonight, or just text somebody and let them know that you love them. That would be really cool if you could do that. All right. Now I'm really going to go. Okay. I love you guys, and Bye.